The Angle Slam podcast.
Not podcast, yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hello, we're back. And
Back again.
we're back to review more wrestling. And finally, it looks like we might have some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to COVID and restrictions and stuff. And that hopefully, it won't be Mania that will be in the same room reviewing this, but maybe the pay-per-view afterwards, we might actually be sitting in the same room together.
Money in the Bank Backlash, yeah, maybe, because it was light at the end of the tunnel in the UK. The US, who knows what they're fucking doing. But, yeah, it would be weird if it's Backlash, because it would be the first time I'd really look forward to that.
Yeah, like really, can't wait for Backlash. Why? Because I'm sitting with my mates.
Normality,
Yeah.
Whatever. So, but yes, so we're back for another one for the Elimination Chamber. I can skip over this part because there's no deaths, so I'll just go straight to Adam with the subscribe stuff.
Yeah, so usual, like, subscribe and share on all social media platforms. We've got SoundCloud, Stitcher and Apple Music as well. We're also now on new platforms as well of Google Podcasts, Anchor and Castbox. So anybody that's got those apps, you'll be able to find us on there as well. So you can't get rid of us. We're solidly pushing our way through the podcast universe.
Yeah, we know what we're doing. So, yeah, if we crack on with it, obviously we do the star rates at the end. But as far as just a quick review, not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, I was going to go with smart.
Okay, yeah, that makes that comment probably makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the problem with Chamber. We've said this for the last few years. The Chamber match itself is a very watered down version of what we used to get, and it still was. But despite that, the quality of the Chamber matches itself weren't too bad.
No, there was neither of them. I felt bored or like there was some rest hold shit going on. There was none of that, which was good.
Yeah, it felt they did the best with what they could do with that Chamber. And, I mean, when I was thinking at first, when it comes to the ratings, which we'll get to later, I was thinking I might go right down the middle here with like a full on average. But the more I thought about it, I'm definitely going to give it more than average. I'll explain why as we go along. Because it was a smart pay-per-view, even if some people don't get why yet.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to tell them.
Yeah, that's why we're here to break it all down and explain to you.
Yeah. So I didn't watch the pre-show, but they explained what happened on it because for some reason it seems they have a stick up their ass about Keith Lee.
Apparently he's injured. It's officially been announced that he's injured. So I don't know what it is, but no, apparently it's genuine. Like we thought it was kayfabe, but apparently I was watching the Wrestle Talk podcast earlier today while I was at work, and they said that they put out an official announcement that he's injured.
Right, that seems better then, because the rumours spread it up. I know he had COVID. Mia Yim had COVID the other day, so he had to isolate and whatnot. But then there was rumours that they were dropping him and they didn't know why. And one of the rumours was Vince doesn't get Keith Lee.
Yeah, and that is true. It was like, how can you not get him? He's like...
What is that to get?
I don't understand what you want. He's a big dude. You like that. He's got a great moveset, a great character. He's fun to watch. He's decent promo work. He's championship material. I don't get why you couldn't like him.
If I was in the room when he said that, when he went, I don't get it, I'd be like, okay. Do you remember his performance of the Royal Rumble and you're really impressed with him? Yeah? That's what to get. That's all there is to get.
Yeah.
There's no, underhyped. His character isn't complicated. It's not like he's not dark like Bray Wyatt. He's not meant to be all in your face, smiley like Daniel Bryan.
No,
he's just Keith Lee, and that's all he needs to be because the fans are already behind him. There's no I don't get why they're booing him. I don't get why they're cheering him. They get him because he's genuine.
Yeah.
And if Vince don't get that, then it's become the old adage of he just doesn't get it anymore. He doesn't get what wrestling has evolved into.
Well, Chris Hero made a very good point when he was asked about Vince the other day, and he mentioned that he doesn't think Vince is trying to be in touch because he has no interest in being in touch with anybody. He wants to do what he wants to do, and he's going to do it. He has no interest in whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. He's just going to do it because it's his playset.
Yeah, someone made the good point. I can't remember where it was now, or it might have been on a podcast or whatnot. But, Vince's life, apart from maybe the odd XFL play here and occasional moments with his family, 95% of his life is the WWE. He just focuses on that, which means he doesn't go out to the cinema to watch movies or keep up with trends or music, which means he probably has lost touch of what's cool and what's passable, and the world has evolved into something.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the pop culture references that he's put out there, every single one of them are about 10 to 15 years out of date. Some of the stuff that he pops up is ridiculous.
Comedy's changed, movies have changed, music have changed. Not all for the better, and so there are some things where it's like, okay, that's crap. WWE needs to stay away from that. But for example, we live in a world where there's snowflakes about and stuff. Not a good thing. But wrestling has evolved to the point now that fans want to see purely good wrestling. And NXT know that. Vince doesn't.
No.
And so I think that's why characters like Keith Lee and, the NXT call-ups most of the time just go straight over his head.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I mean, that was our kind of... that was our kind of rant on it, but the basic premise was that Keith Lee couldn't perform, so they did a 4-way to take his spot in the US title match.
Yes, it was Morrison, Elias, Ricochet, and Ali.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, so long story short, Morrison won. So we'll get to what happened later in the night. But the first match was the number 1 contenders match, Elimination Chamber, for the Universal Championship.
Yes, so it was the one for Reigns' belt. Good opener. I'll be honest. It really was a good opener. Yeah, so who was it? It was Bryan, Cesaro, Corbin,
Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and it was all solid. Even Corbin didn't bore me in this. Like, even he was just like, he was sat in that nice little mid-card heel kind of area, and that was fine. Even introducing him third was the good idea, because you were having this lovely mini-match between Bryan and Cesaro to kick things off that you're enjoying, and then there's a nice little bit of heel tactic. Oh, here comes Corbin to wreck stuff. But he wasn't going in with rest holds. He was going in with deep sixes and proper movesets, and he has got a good moveset.
I did look at that. When Corbin came down, I was like, oh yeah, Corbin, because I haven't really been keeping up with what he's been doing. But when he was in the ring, I just thought, okay, his character... It's not exactly stale, but it's not exactly exciting. It just is what it is. But as far as his wrestling goes, he's not doing anything wrong.
No, he's not.
He's in the right place at the right time. He knows what he's doing. It's got the same... He's kind of at the other side of the coin to Cesaro. With Cesaro, the fans love him, but they know there's a disconnect somewhere, and they're rooting for him to find that connect. With Corbin, he's got that disconnect, but the fans are just like, yeah... He's got that. He's not connecting with us, so whatever. Which is a shame, because Corbin's got potential. We know that. So, well, they start off with Bryan Cesaro, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good call.
Yeah, it was a good call. I like that, because I didn't expect that. Again, I thought they'd go for the standard face-heel beginning, like they always do. But they decided to go, let's just have these two have a little mini-match, and it builds them quite up face-wise when they last as long as they do in the chamber. So makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and then Corbin came in, and there was that little flurry of I think, I might have the wrong spot actually, because it was Kevin Owens that came in next, wasn't it? Was it Kevin?
God, I can't remember.
But I just remember one spot where it went. I think Kevin went cannonball, and then Bryan changed it into the running kick. And then somehow Corbin turned it into deep sixing everybody.
No, it was just the first 3 of them. It was Cesaro doing the uppercut as well.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. So sorry, Cesaro's uppercut, Bryan with the kicks, Corbin with the deep six.
I think Sami Zayn was in 4th.
Yeah, because he tried to keep the door shut.
Yes, and then it was behind him. Yeah, that was quite funny. I quite like that. That was good.
But what I noticed when he's bouncing his head off the pod, they knocked the back of the pod out pretty much straight away. I was like, okay, unless that was planned.
I did find it weird as well that like they said that he can't have his cameramen around and they booted them out of the way, but then they let Omos stay with AJ later on. So it's like, well, what are the rules? It's like they're not allowed to stay, but he is.
I suppose it was a referee discretion because it was the female ref who threw him out. But I just thought, why would Sammy be that upset about it? Because
it's part of his character. It's his conspiracy theory thing, isn't it? He just wants to show.
I suppose it fed more to his conspiracy theory gimmick. But I just thought, what the actual cameramen are filming on the show are going to film exactly what your cameraman would have filmed anyway. So it didn't really matter. And they couldn't interfere because, they locked out the chamber. So, yeah, that was what was okay.
Then it was Owens that came in, and he was just doing his classic face stuff of wrecking shop. Sammy tried to talk to him as well, didn't he? Like he played on their history. Because I said, just as the match was starting, I thought, it's really weird that these two are in a match together, and they're not referencing the fact that of their history in any way, shape, or form. And then this happened later on. It's like, oh, okay. And then Owens just said, no, fuck that, and just beat the shit out of him.
Because I can't remember at what point this happened, but obviously Corbin was the first eliminated to be swung, sharpshooter, and eliminated. Which, again, I think was the right call. And I know I've just bigged up Corbin, but as soon as he got eliminated, because Jay was still in the pod, I looked at the talent that was in the ring at the time. I thought, Zayn, Cesaro, Bryan, and Owens, this is a dream match.
Yeah.
Right now. So I was like, okay, no offense, Corbin, but off you fuck. This is, the big boys playing now. There was the part where Cesaro chased Sammy across the chain.
Yeah, that was quite cool.
And pulled him down.
I liked the fact that Jay was just sitting in his pod the entire time, contemplating and stuff, and just focusing. I also like when he finally got into it as well, and the way that they got rid of Owens, because I thought Owens was going to go to the end. I wanted Cesaro or Bryan, but I thought they're probably going to go for Owens here. But what they did was actually quite good, and it still played quite well for the story. It's the fact that he just got his hand caught in the gate after, I think, Sammy was eliminated. And then Jay just super kick, and then I think he frog splashed him and pinned him, didn't he?
Yeah, it was new. It was refreshing, which is, again, still hard to do right now. So, yeah, I think Sammy gets... I can't remember how Sammy got eliminated now. It might have been a stunner flurry or something like that. But, no, it was the stunner. Kevin Owens stunning everybody, stunning Sammy at the end and pinned him. And, yeah, like I say, just starts attacking Jay thumb in the eye, rams his arm in the door, all those different kicks. It's like, okay, that's a believable elimination.
Yeah.
He's got his arm fucked up in the door and been kicked in the head numerous times. Then followed up with the splash. Completely fine with it. Kevin Owens' moonsault off the pod was crazy.
Yeah, it was good.
Just thought... I think I even said out loud, be careful, Kevin. And it was just that perfect moonsault. And I'm just like, this is more to just like, this is why we love Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
He's just awesome. So, yeah, it got to Jay versus Bryan versus Cesaro. Obviously working on the knee.
Yeah, this is the point when they were working on the knee with Bryan more and more. I was thinking to myself, right, this is going to be the credible reason how they get rid of Bryan in this match. Cesaro's taking this.
Well,
and I honestly thought that was going to be the case, and then obviously things started to play out a little bit different.
I thought, at this point, I was still thinking, come on, Cesaro's got to have this. This is his time. Blah, but he started swinging Bryan around with the knee, and obviously ended with the super kick, and then Cesaro was eliminated. Which, at first, I was pissed off about, and then I thought, right, I get it. Because I didn't see Jay winning it. I knew that wasn't
because the only thing he would do, I think, he'd hesitate for a second, and then he'd just lie down and take the pin from Reigns. So what's the point? Yeah,
so I knew it was going to be Bryan, but as soon as Cesaro was eliminated, I was like, that sucks, but now I get why Roman's going to look more dominant because Bryan's got the injured.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing. Yeah, once he was going, right, it's going to be Bryan then, that's what Reigns is going to do. He's going to work over that knee, he's going to absolutely obliterate him.
Yeah, so I think Jay tried a couple of moves and Bryan showed his resilience, ran into a running knee, good night. And at that point, I thought they did, I did think they'd said immediately after.
No, they hadn't. Sure. No, they hadn't. So the thing is, like, they didn't say it, but I thought to myself, well, they're going to, because that's what Reigns would do in this heel persona. Of course he'd do it straight after. As soon as they started lifting the cage, I was like, yeah, it's happening straight away. Of course it is.
Yeah. But I did think when, obviously, the cake started lifting and obviously Roman's music hit, I thought, okay, this is the case. In my head, I thought maybe they might do the whole thing. Bryan gets a bit of rest time. It's the main event. But as soon as I thought, okay, this is happening now, it's like, thank you. The WWE Championship's got the main event.
Yeah.
Which hadn't happened in a while. It's rare that the WWE title is the main event nowadays, which is ridiculous. But we get why when we get to the WWE title match later on.
I did like as well, so we kick into the Universal Championship straight afterwards, which, like we just said, is really a good call. I love how they kicked in with this, because by the start of it, you're thinking, right, it's going to be standard Reigns kind of absolutely annihilating him in 2 minutes, good night. Which for the most part did happen, but the first bit out of the gate, when he went for the spear and went straight into the yes lock, there's that little bit of extra resilience from Bryan. I thought that's really, really good. I liked that. And then we kind of got Reigns after that doing what we expected, and again getting over his dominance and getting over this guillotine submission by passing out Bryan.
Yeah, it was heel stuff, but still managed to, do his job of, make the fans believe Bryan's going to do it. The problem I had, I still kind of went to the edge of my seat when Bryan got that in, because I didn't expect it.
Even Reigns had a little bit of panic in his eyes, and it was just like, oh, shit!
Yeah, unfortunately for me, I'd seen a slight news feed before saying Edge challenges Roman Reigns. Like, shit, okay. So not only do I know who wins, but I wasn't that mad about it, because I kind of figured that was going to happen anyway. So even with the yes lock in, I was like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming, but I know what's going to happen. And another reason why I was fine with Bryan taking it was Cesaro not only looked strong in the chamber match, so he didn't really diminish his loss. If Cesaro had lost like that to Roman Reigns, it would have undone everything that they've been doing with Cesaro. Yeah,
with Cesaro, I think, you're right. He would have had to get a little bit more offense in. But you still need Reigns to win dominantly, because it makes sense for Reigns' character, and it doesn't make Cesaro look bad in defeat because of how much he went through just previously. But he would have had to get a little bit more offense in, definitely.
Yeah, if Cesaro-Roman had happened with the exact same length of time Roman-Bryan had, it would have been awful. If they gave the Universal title match, I don't know, at least another 5, maybe 10 minutes, where it's Cesaro-Roman, it's like, okay, it's Cesaro proving that he belongs here and stuff. But, with the way they went, Bryan was the right call.
Yeah.
Then Edge comes out.
Out of nowhere, and spears him. Honestly, that did shock me, that spear, because in all honesty, I didn't think he would appear at all in the pay-per-view. I honestly thought that he would wait until Raw, because obviously it's a way of building the Mania match. It's also a way of getting people to put eyes on Raw the next night if they just have Edge announce, oh, I'm going to give you my decision on Raw. But for him to spear Reigns and go, well, that's confirmation then. We know what he's doing. Because as soon as he pointed to the WrestleMania zone, even fireworks went off and everything. So it's like, yeah, he's definitely picking Reigns.
I was literally going to say, from a kayfabe point of view, isn't it lucky they had the pyro on standby, just in case Edge was just going to...
pointing at the side. Yeah.
So, because, it's like, even from a kayfabe standpoint, they're going to be like, well, they had that prepared. They must have known he was going to do something.
So he shockingly appeared and speared someone, and then you had fireworks straight afterwards. It seems a little bit suspect.
If only we had fireworks. I anticipated this, Terry. Come on, let's do it.
Fireworks, you say, shouldn't be a problem. It's in my back pocket. Hold on.
Fucking hell. I suppose their excuse could be, we're saving them for Roman when he won. And,
sure.
Decent chamber opener. Roman Reigns beats Bryan as expected. Edge, Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Next was the triple threat match for the United States Championship.
So obviously it was Bobby Lashley versus Riddle, or Matt Riddle as we're going to call him, because for some reason they got rid of his name. I don't know why. So stupid. And then John Morrison, fresh off the Fatal 4-Way. I really enjoyed this match.
I didn't until I got what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then there was a bad thing. Even though I was thinking, this is going really well, I get it. Apart from this, the way the match ended was like, okay, that fixes that problem. Because
it was quite obvious that Morrison was taking the pin here. It also kind of makes it obvious that if Lee was in this, it probably means that Lee would have been the champion now, and Riddle would have taken the pin. And there is some rumours going around that it might be Riddle versus Lee at WrestleMania for the title.
Right, I'm okay with that, because see, Morrison's one of those guys he's dependable.
Yes,
he's a good wrestler. He knows what he's doing. I always like Riddle, and nitpicking a little bit, it was weird to see the face Riddle team up with the heel Morrison to try and date out Lashley, but I suppose it's like all bets are off in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
But I love what they were doing with Lashley. They were making him look so dominant.
He was so dominant.
That as I was watching it, I was like, this is their build-up to him and Lesnar.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it in our last podcast. It's like it wouldn't surprise me that if they eventually go for Lashley, and potentially at Mania, because Lesnar's without an opponent at the moment, if he's even going to appear. But obviously, things change, as we'll explain later.
Yeah, it got to the point. It's like, okay, Lashley's dominating, great, awesome, but I kind of don't want it to be a full-on wipeout of he destroys both of them. Obviously, they start getting offense in. Lashley slaps them down. They even team up, and Lashley still manages to slap them down. It's like, this is great. However, I don't like that Riddle is at his expense. Until the end, where I was like, right, okay, everyone got what they needed here. So Riddle maybe not earned the victory as such, but a win's a win.
Yeah, I mean, he took a sneaky victory. I mean, it doesn't really damage Morrison that much because, he's not been booked amazingly himself. It's good for Riddle to get this win because he's been booked into oblivion since he's been there. I mean, he's been having reasonable matches. He had a couple with Sheamus and he had a couple with Lashley now. But overall, it's been like, he's just been losing all the time. And it's just, you don't buy him as a decent superstar. But with this win, it's like, right, so maybe this is the track to redeem him a little bit and we can get him some solid wins, build him up towards Mania, and if it is end up being against Keith Lee, we can have a hell of a face versus face match and just have that respect match, and no matter what the outcome is, I think they'll both look good coming out of it.
It was one of those, Morrison knew his spot. It would be foolish of him to think, knowing, it's one thing to go into that match thinking, oh, right, okay, I'm going to be this guy, but when it was Keith first, you know what you're there to do. So, Morrison did his job great. Maybe, again, another nitpick. Riddle didn't exactly look weak in the match, but maybe should have got a bit more offense in on both of them to look more like, okay, he did kind of work towards his USA Championship during the match. But, yes, Morrison taking the pin needed to happen. He gets Riddled over because he's now got gold on him, and it protects Lashley.
Yeah, so no one looks bad coming out of it, which is exactly the kind of result that you need.
And the match, as just a pure match, was pretty damn good.
It was good. It was all fat trimmed. There was no rest holds and lying around. It was literally just high energy from start to finish, and everybody played their part the way they were supposed to.
Yes, it told the story, and it didn't diminish anyone. I mean, I know Morrison took the pin, but like I said, A, we knew why he was there, and B, it's kind of like, well, he's in a triple threat match against the domination of Lashley and someone as good as Riddle.
Fair enough.
And it was also a last-second thing for Morrison, who had a match earlier in the night. So, we're creating excuses for him from a kayfabe point anyway. It's like, well, he's had two matches. Of course he's going to be weakened. It all made sense. I don't know. I know that they're building up to something with Lashley, and I know what's happened on Raw, even though I'm not exactly sure which direction.
I mean, I've watched Raw as well, so...
Yeah, so I wasn't... I don't really... I was slightly surprised with Lashley dropping the US title, but I thought, okay, I can get on board with this new direction of Lashley dropping the belt and Riddle being the US champion. I'm interested to see where it goes. Not just for Riddle's sake, but to see what they now do with Lashley in the Hurt Business.
Yeah, because you don't want to take your foot off the gas there, because they've been doing well with the Hurt Business. And especially with Lashley, he's been the character lately that we wanted when he first returned. This unstoppable force, and that's what we wanted. And they need to keep their foot on the gas with that and make sure they don't let up.
Yeah, I mean, even the end part of like, okay, Morrison's going to sort of cheat, even though it's no DQ with the crutch thing because he's got an MVP space. Obviously, Riddle takes advantage of that, which some people might see, Riddle used heel tactics or whatever. No, I don't see it that way. It's just,
no, I don't either.
The rules of the match, and he did what he needed to do, and he won. So, yeah, at the minute, as far as the match is 2 for 2 on smart plays.
Yes.
This is why I said it was a very smart pay-per-view. Next match was the women's tag title match.
Yeah, and this is where it kind of took a dive for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was that, unfortunately, they booked themselves into a corner here because I looked at it and went, right, you can't have Nia or Shayna take a pin because they've just got the titles back. You need to keep them strong going into Mania as title holders. However, I don't have believability in them anyway, but still, you shouldn't be pinning them either way. You do not want to pin Sasha Banks because she's the SmackDown Women's Champion and she's been quite decent pretty much all year. Then you definitely don't want to be pinning Belair because she won the Rumble and she's the first in line to take the title from Sasha, whoever else she decides to go for. So they backed themselves into a corner here, and I thought to myself, right, this is the match where I want shenanigans to happen just so we can get out of this, really.
Yeah.
And they didn't go that way. It was a kind of just nothing match. It was more to do with fucking Sasha and the sommelier dude, whatever his name is, I don't know, with the champagne bottle and stuff.
Reginald.
Yeah, Reginald. It was more to do with him than anything else. Shayna was kind of an afterthought, to be perfectly honest. Nia got most of the offense in. And then just to have her beat and pin Sasha with a Samoan drop. I was like, oh, seriously? Like, Nia's not been built as a fucking credible heel and a dominating heel in the last few months since she's had those titles. Yet you're having her pin the SmackDown Women's Champion, and she pinned the Raw Women's Champion on Raw as well the following night. It was like, what are we doing? And it just seemed like it was a means to an end, and that means to an end was just fucking pointless.
Maybe that was their way of trying to get some credibility of the women's tag championships themselves. I would, the whole Reginald distraction costed them the match. It does make it not a pure victory for Shayna and Nia, but it wasn't really a good enough reason or distraction because when Nia hit the Samoan drop, I agree. I was kind of like, 3 count. But then I was thinking, well, what the hell is Nia's finisher? I don't know if she still uses the punch or what.
No, she uses she used the leg drop, Hogan leg drop.
See, that's it. If she'd done the Samoan drop, Shayna had done something, I don't know, like a running knee stomp or stomped on the arm again.
Or even put her in the curved clutch. Almost pass her out, throw her to the floor, hit her with the leg drop, then I believe it more.
Yes, just 30 more seconds would have done it.
Yeah.
But especially the first few minutes of the match, it wasn't until Shayna kind of got tagged in, I thought, okay, this is kind of going somewhere now. But first few bits, it was a bit, I don't want to say sloppy, but quite slow and not, picking up the momentum the start of a match should. But even when the match did kind of get going, I thought, this is kind of very standard television match.
Yeah, it's a standard TV match, nothing too special. Again, it was just a means to an end for me. Nothing amazing happened here.
As far as shenanigans go, I will admit on one side it was like, right, because like you say, they've backed themselves in the corner, it's like, this is hard to call of like, are they going to have Sasha and Bianca be women's tag champions and walk into Mania against each other but as champions? Or are somehow Shayna and Nia going to get over here? So when I thought, I will admit I was probably leaning more to their retaining because I was thinking as far as shenanigans go, as you say, like Sasha could turn heel on Bianca and just go, fuck it, I'm champ, you're nothing to me. Or vice versa. Bianca could attack Sasha, cost them the match and go, I challenge you to WrestleMania. But none of that. They focused it all around Reginald, which on one side, it's like, okay, I don't get it. Is this a ploy? Is he still working for Carmella and there's something there? But to be honest with you, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's one of them. So
and that's the thing, is that I really like Sasha, and I've liked her the entire time. She's done the whole Bayley thing, and since she's been champ, I've been absolutely fine with her. But involving her in this Reginald thing, slowly but surely, they're picking away at her to the point where I'm going, I don't really care that much. And that's the thing, I should care about her because she's champion, I'm enjoying her, and if Bianca does pick her, I want to care about that match, I really do. So you've got to keep her strong, and having her pinned and be involved in this kind of stuff with Reginald is not the way to build her.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think it hurts. It's pretty obvious to me Bianca's choosing Sasha. That's just happening. So it doesn't exactly hurt their build-up, but like you say, just on the surface, it's like, well, was that just an excuse to get the women on the show and have a women's tag title match?
Yeah,
because
maybe.
there's no other tag title match on the show.
No.
So yeah, it was just a bit weird. And just as a side note, I mean, I've always respected Sasha's talent and stuff, and I still do. She's great at what she does. But I watched her on the Broken Skull sessions the other day. I haven't watched it all. And despite pretty much everything she's saying being correct, and me going, all right, you're not wrong, I just keep thinking, God, you've got a massive ego.
Really?
She's beginning to remind me of early Triple H.
Really?
Just a lot of it was like, well, I know I'm the best. I'm not being in character, meaning like, why'd you pick them? I'm better than that. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, fucking hell, okay, I get how good you are, but put it in check a bit.
You rein it in a little bit.
You're beginning to sound just big-headed and whatnot. Or maybe that's the way I took it. You might watch it and go, I don't think so.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I'll give it. I need to watch all the Broken Skull sessions because I've still watched none of them.
They are really.
I know.
So yeah. As far as the in-ring work of Sasha and Bianca, that will carry over well enough into WrestleMania. As far as the match, it's kind of like, well,
throw away
do anything for them, and I don't think it did much for Nia and Shayna either.
No.
So yeah, it was just there, and it kind of stopped the momentum of the pay-per-view for a while.
Yeah, it's a bit throwaway.
Yeah, there was the segment with was it Bad Bunny?
And Miz, he got a slap from Bad Bunny, and then Damian Priest was there, and yeah, fine.
They're obviously building. There's something being built there with either Bad Bunny and Morrison and Miz, or potentially Damian Priest. Well,
the strongest rumour is it's going to be Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania, which obviously we'll get to later on about what happens.
But then, as soon that I think that was before the women's tag, was straight after the women's tag. It had that segment of MVP and the Miz talking.
Yes, and that was when the penny was starting to drop there. I was like, okay.
Yeah, what's the plan here, kind of thing. So then it obviously leads to the main event, the WWE Championship Chamber match.
Yes, which had Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, obviously Drew, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and
oh God,
who was the last one?
Oh shit, Jeff, AJ, Orton, Drew, Sheamus. Oh crap!
Kofi, that was it. Oh God.
Yeah. So
that's bad that we forgot that.
Again, this was. I still don't know which chamber match I preferred, but this was well structured.
Yeah, again, it was well structured. There wasn't too many kind of moments where I was bored. Everybody did their part the way they were supposed to. I think I'm leaning towards the first chamber match slightly better, but only just. You know what I mean? Only just. Yeah. This was still a hell of a match, and it was a good story told.
What really shocked me was the first elimination, because Orton just went like no one's business.
I thought Orton would be in the final three. Given the stuff that we drew and everything, I thought he'd be in the final three. But just to get that pin from Kofi and then RKO's him and Jeff Hardy as he leaves, I was surprised about that.
It wasn't just the, no pun intended, the out of nowhere part of it, of like Kofi just hit, had a bit of a brawl with him pretty much as he left the pod. Then that quick like inverted roll up pin, 3 count. I was like, I genuinely for a minute thought, was that a mistake? Because I just didn't see Orton not only just going that early, but like that.
Yeah.
Especially with all the rumours and stuff going around with him and The Fiend. Because I think it was my brother that made the good point, and probably the internet. The advert for Elimination Chamber, the theme song was Pop Goes the Weasel, which is a very Firefly Funhouse song.
Yeah. And I think we all went going into the chamber. We thought, I think the way that Orton gets thrown out of this match is Fiend interference or Alexa Bliss interference, and the fact that we got none of it is quite surprising.
Yeah, but one of the main I don't think it was a rumor. Someone came up with the idea of like, if this is how they do it, that'd be awesome. I wanted Orton to start in a pod because I thought if it gets to him being released and they open the door. And he goes to leave and he can't get out. And there's a hand from under the chamber holding him. And then the Fiend pops up, drags him under the pod, under the ring. Well, we don't see it, but they obviously go under the ring. And then just the pod's engulfed in flames. And they're both gone. It's like, what the fuck just happened?
People were on about that. And to be honest, I would have been fine with it. Some people were saying they should set Randy on fire. I was like, no, don't set him on fire. But yeah, the fire around the pod idea... I've been fine with that.
But even though I'm not a huge fan of them taking advantage of the whole no fans there so they can edit this here and there, you could have had Orton can't get out of his pod, make it look like he's engulfed in flames in the pod, and when the flames go away, the Fiend's standing there instead. You're like, this changes everything.
Yeah.
Because now the Fiend's in the chamber. Maybe in hindsight, probably the best he wasn't because he would have to win.
He would. Yeah, he would have.
Yeah. The only way you could have eliminated him is if all 5 competitors just like dogpiled on him for the pin. Yeah. So, but yeah, I know. Again, I suppose it's hypocritical of us to say that because we finally got a slow build story, and I'm liking it so far. It was just a little bit like, oh, Orton's out, and where's the Fiend?
Yeah, so, and then after that, Kofi was gone. After that, he was pinned by who was it? I can't remember. He pinned him now.
Was it AJ?
It could have been AJ. It might have been AJ, or it was Drew, one or the other.
Oh, well, yeah. Hang on a sec.
Oh no, unless it was Sheamus. Did he bro kick him and then get rid of him?
I think yes. If I remember rightly, I think they went on a flurry of like kicks and whatnot. Bro kick, Kofi's out because I think Kofi kind of flew into it.
Yeah.
But Sheamus was pretty much spent afterwards. And as Kofi was eliminated, AJ's yelling at Omos to get him out the pot.
Yes, this is what I was going to bring to. Yeah, this was quite interesting and new, this was.
Yeah, because on one side I was thinking, I don't know how I feel about this, but number one, it's no disqualification. You can't do shit about it. And number 2, it's something new.
And also, we know for a fact that Sheamus was going to be the last one in the chamber. So we knew that AJ would have been next anyway. He might have come in early, but he was going to be next anyway. So
I know it's been short-lived at the minute, but the whole thing between Sheamus and Drew, I'm really getting impressed with what Sheamus was doing. And Drew as well, because it takes 2 to tango. But even like when Sheamus entered and like Drew's headbutting the pod and whatnot, Sheamus had his back to the ring.
Yes, that as well. That I liked that little bit of character build. That was nice. Just him the whole time, just like contemplating and thinking about what he's going to do, and not meeting the eyes of anybody until he gets in the ring.
Yeah. So when that buzzer did go off and he knew it was him, not only is Drew there waiting, but he just slowly turns like, yeah, I'm ready too. It wasn't like oh shit, I better go out. It was just like, right, let's go. And they started like really punching the shit out of each other. I think Jeff and AJ tried to get involved. They just threw him to the side. To the point I was thinking, right, why can't Sheamus win this?
Yeah, because I honestly thought to myself that maybe this is the bit they build up towards is those two potentially at Mania, with Drew getting his win back at Mania over Sheamus, and Sheamus wins the big one here. And I was even thinking, these two have got to be the last 2 in the ring.
Yeah.
And even that didn't happen.
No. But then I even started thinking, why? Because I did think, my first theory was like, the Sheamus win, Sheamus Drew at Fastlane, Sheamus still wins, And then Drew goes, I want you at Mania, but in something like a Belfast Brawl or something like that. Something where they could really kick the shit out of each other. Then I thought, well, they could still have that match. When Sheamus was eliminated, I thought they could still have that match, but it doesn't have to be for the championship. So as soon as Sheamus was eliminated, I thought, why can't AJ be champion again? I've got no problem with AJ walking into WrestleMania as WWE champion. It just depends who his opponent would be. But obviously that didn't go down. Sheamus gets eliminated, I think, by a massive Claymore.
Yeah, it was a Claymore that. I think it was. It was a Claymore that took him out. I can't remember who got rid of Hardy. I think it might have been Sheamus. So yeah, it was down to.
He was going to go for the Swanton off the pod, but I think Sheamus, whoever moved, so he did the whisper in the wind to the other two out on the pod. I was like, yeah, okay, he's 40 odd and still doing this shit. Okay.
Then he had a bro kick and that was it for Hardy. But yeah, so then AJ got it was a Claymore that took out Sheamus. Again, I was quite surprised that he went out then because I generally thought he'd be the final one with Drew. And then we had a kind of they didn't even spend much time with AJ and Drew. It was literally like a minute later. He went for a phenomenal forearm and he just in middle-air just Claymored the shit out of him and pinned AJ to retain his belt. And I was just like, that Claymore was incredible. The height that he was able to get, considering he didn't really run for it either. He kind of just did it from a standing start. Just jumped up in the way, boot to the face, good night. And I thought, this dude has got it all. He really has.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a point where AJ tried the 450 springboard. And I think he kind of fucked up the first one.
Yeah, that's what he did it again, didn't he? Yeah, the first one wasn't a 450 splash. It was just a simple, 360 or something.
The senton. Because I did see him kind of stagger on the rope slightly.
Yeah.
Then he did the 450. So I was like, okay, he's on a roll here. And then I think, again, a couple of bro kicks or whatever here and there. But like I say, it ends with that enormous Claymore. Drew, still WWE champion. And I thought, with what they've just shown with MVP and Miz, I think I know what's coming next.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I saw that and thought, will they do it? Or will they wait till Raw or something? Then again, the cage started lifting. I was like, right, well, the cage doesn't lift unless something else is about to happen, because normally they go off air with the cage still down. So if the cage is lifting, something's happening.
So I kind of figured that a part of the plan would be Lashley, because he's the muscle to her business. So Lashley comes out, starts kicking the shit out of Drew.
Yeah.
Miz comes running down, cashes in, doesn't get the first pin.
No, he does a DDT and he gets a kick out, so a little bit more from Drew there.
A bit of a double bluff of because I really thought when Miz cashes in this time, he still isn't winning.
Yeah.
So DDT, 1-2, kick out. Oh, all right, where's this going? Skull Crusher finale, 1, 2, 3. Miz is the new WWE champion. Now, I was surprised that he did it.
Yeah, it was a shock. It really was a shock.
Which is another smart ploy.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised. I'm not against it as such. But again, I'm not sure if the timing was right. It wasn't the contract expiration, I'll give you that. But as far as where Miz is in the company right now, I'm not sure. Yeah,
because he's not been booked amazingly over the last year. If it was during 2016 on his amazing heel run, then 100% he should have had it. But yeah, it was kind of the wrong time. I was fine with him taking a championship. That's not a problem. Because I thought to myself, well, maybe they're doing this thing where they'll get Drew to get the win back at Mania. That's my kind of main focus at the moment, as it has been pretty much the entire time that Drew's been champion. I think he needs his win back at Mania to get the pop that he so desperately deserved at the last Mania, and that I can't be deterred from that. So much so that I'm at the point where I don't care who the opponent is. I want him to have his win back. And Miz he's a credible heel as the fact that he's good with his promo work, so that he can make me hate him more. It's just like you say, it wasn't necessarily the right time for him. But as we've kind of seen from Raw, it seems quite obvious that he's going to be a transitional champion and that Lashley's going to take it from him next week, and it's going to be Lashley versus Drew at Mania, which I'm not against, but I think I prefer it over The Miz because they've been building Lashley absolutely incredibly, as we mentioned earlier. to the point where it's a bit more of a mountain for Drew to get over.
This is my theory, because this is another reason why I think WWE are being very smart right now, even if not a lot of people, because most people I've spoke to are like, The Miz, really? Are you serious? He's like, right, let's look at everything they've thrown on the table. No one expected that.
No.
They've put shock and surprise on the road to WrestleMania. What a better time to do it. Even from my perspective, who kind of understands what they're doing, even in my head, I was like, I need to see what happens on Raw with this. What a great way to get more viewers. No, usually on the road to WrestleMania, a main title change doesn't happen.
Last time unless your name's Goldberg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, this changes everything, but I am over 75% confident The Miz is not walking into WrestleMania as WWE champion.
I'd go one better and say I'm 90% sure that's not happening. Yeah,
but you see, I know he's got Lashley next week on Raw. Lashley, he could do it. It's a hard one to call because again we know Miz uses dirty tactics and all that kind of stuff that he could, weasel his way into a victory next week as well. But Lashley could win. So, I think Fastlane is about a month away. And then this is another smart ploy that a lot of people probably don't know. It's recently been announced in the US, the WWE Network has been bought by a new company called Peacock.
Yes, it has. Peacock is quite a big company as far as streaming is concerned, so it will get more eyes on the product.
Yes, so Fastlane is the first pay-per-view that's going to be broadcast through Peacock. You want a big thing to happen at that first pay-per-view. Why not have the title change again? I think this is more just like we had the title get dropped at Chamber because we want another big moment at Fastlane when the championship changes again. Could be Drew. Drew could win it back at Fastlane, walk into WrestleMania. Or, and you're probably not going to like this part, Drew Lashley happens at Fastlane for the WWE Championship. Fine with that. Drew does not win. And he does not go on to WrestleMania, this year's WrestleMania, in the title picture. Instead, it's Sheamus. I don't exactly like this idea, but think of how WWE operates. Sheamus and Drew have a match at WrestleMania. Again, Belfast Brawl, something like that. Lashley walks in to the WrestleMania's WWE champion. Who do you think his opponent will be?
Well, Lesnar.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Wins, though.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but I still want Drew to get that win at Mania. I really do. I can't get away from it, and it's just. I think what's going to happen is that next week, Miz versus Lashley, Drew's going to come back because he wasn't at Raw this week at all. He's going to come back and cause the DQ because he's pissed off with Miz for cashing in. They're going to make it into a triple threat at the Fastlane where Lashley is going to beat the Miz for it, so Drew's not in a decider. And then it's going to be Lashley versus Drew at Mania. That's what I think they're going to do.
I probably would have been more on board with Drew Lashley if they hadn't have done it. I think it was a Backlash or whatever. They've already kind of done the match.
Yeah, they can play on the history though. It's only one match they've ever done together. It's not like Lashley and Riddle where they've had about 15 matches.
True, or you could have, like say, one of the main rumours was Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. I've got no problem with the mass of people and muscle here, because Vince likes his muscle men.
Yeah.
You could have Drew versus Sheamus versus Lashley at WrestleMania.
Yeah, a triple threat. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Or make it a fatal four-way and throw Lesnar in there as well.
Yes.
Because then, even if Lesnar is in it and he doesn't win, he doesn't have to get pinned, which doesn't harm Lesnar. So. There's so many possibilities of where they could go.
That fatal four-way might be a good way of building Lashley-Lesnar for SummerSlam. If Lashley is the reason that Lesnar doesn't win that match and then Drew claims the shit out of Sheamus to take the title, that brings all the stories together perfectly well, and then you can continue the feud with Sheamus and Drew, off on the side, and then you don't see Lesnar for a while, and then suddenly he comes back near SummerSlam and saying, "You're the reason I didn't get that title. I want you at SummerSlam," and we get our big SummerSlam match between them two.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember one of the greatest Mania moments we've had in recent memory is the Hardys' return at WrestleMania.
Yes.
And obviously, going into that moment, meant to be a triple threat tag team, about to start, New Day come out, actually it's been changed to a fatal four-way, Hardys come out. Now, I'm pretty confident Roman Reigns versus Edge will probably headline the show.
Yeah.
But if they don't, you could, I'm probably pushing it short here because I'm pretty sure Roman Reigns is winning. If Edge wins, be a bit of a shocker, and again, wouldn't be against it. And then during the night, you see Roman Reigns is livid, like throwing stuff around backstage. Heyman's trying to calm him down. Heyman goes, "Relax, I'll fix this. I promise you I'll fix this." Gets to the triple threat, just about to start. Heyman comes out, goes, "This doesn't start because I've made this a fatal four-way and my client is now involved." Everyone's expecting Roman Reigns' music to hit. Lesnar's music hits instead. And they're like, "Oh my God." Don't even announce he's going to be there. Lesnar just comes stomping down. But if you really want to get Lashley over, have Sheamus look pretty worried, have Drew look indifferent, have Lashley look ready.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's just because Lashley shouldn't hide from the fact that I've been asking for this ever since I came back, and now even if I wanted to fight him anyway. If it's for the title, I'm going to fight harder. You've got all these elements you can have.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do building up towards Mania, but overall there's a lot of things they can do. It just depends on what they will do. That's the thing I'm worried about. I still think the likely option is that it's going to be Lashley versus Drew at Mania, but if they made it into a triple threat with Lesnar or Sheamus or made it into a fatal four-way, I would be happy with that as well. That would be probably a best case scenario because it ties all the stories together.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke about the risk of the waiting game a lot. Like I've always said, you wait and wait and wait for something, and then it happens. The payoff feels that much better, but the risk is you could, lose interest.
You leave it too long.
So, as much as I agree with you that I want Drew to have his Mania pop, I know there'll be fans there, but it won't be a full house.
I think it will be, because look at the NFL, what they did with the Super Bowl. That place was packed to the rafters, and I think it's going to be the same for Mania. They can't do it for NFL and deny WWE the same thing.
Well, the problem with this in the minute is that the ticket sales haven't even been announced. And the rumour I heard is that they're going to allow 25,000 people into the stadium, which, granted, is a lot of people still. But, when you go from, 100,000 people to 25,000, slightly different. So I'm just thinking, what if they held off just a little while longer? Drew wins the Royal Rumble next year and gets.
See, the problem is, I reckon, like you say, it's going to be by that point we're going to be bored of it, and very more importantly, Vince will be bored of it.
It is a risk. I mean, it's one of those where if you say one of our theories is right, and Drew isn't even in the title picture this year's WrestleMania, they could pitch that idea to him of like, let's see what happens next year. And if they can sense that, if the sense is there that fans want it and want it and want it, it's like, all right, we've got them. We can hold them till Mania. It's going to work. If it feels like it's not exactly working, you can go, all right, let's not make them wait much longer before this backfires on us. We'll do it at SummerSlam. Which, again, I know it's not a WrestleMania moment, but getting the pop at SummerSlam, I wouldn't be saying no to that if I was in Drew's position.
Yeah, I suppose. We're going to have to see. But, I mean, I'm hesitantly looking forward to Mania.
Yeah, I'm hesitant as well. It's a weird one because they definitely did. Again, the whole smart play of this is they've thrown a curveball.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff up in the air at the moment. It's not as clear-cut as it was a week ago.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yes, so do I. I do as well. Like I say, I understand that Miz is a transitional champion and that it's not his title run's not going to amount to much, but if it's throwing that spanner in the works where you're thinking of more possibilities, it's not the end of the world.
No. So, as far as star ratings go, it's a difficult one because, well, something I was going to say at the start was like, even if with the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and the match itself, even if they did the perfect pay-per-view, I would still never give it 10 out of 10 until they brought back the original chamber. That padded playpen of a chamber still doesn't do it for me, to the point of like, eh. But like I said, they did well with the chamber we've now got. It's just a bit watered down. So the matches weren't exactly match of the year candidates, I don't think. The women's tag title let it down. But because it was a smart play, I'm going to give it more than average. So I think I'll give it 6.5.
Okay, yeah, well, my thing was I was going to give it a 7. I think that was quite... It was a solid pay-per-view. It was 2.5 hours long as well, which is great. It's not too long. Yeah. Much better idea. Like I say, unfortunately, the tags let it down a little bit, but both chamber matches were good. We had some shock stuff happen. Solid wrestling all round. So yeah, I think 7 is acceptable.
I did like the 2.5 hours thing, but a mate of ours said it's so weird that we're watching a pay-per-view that's shorter than Monday Night Raw nowadays.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they're still pushing 3 hours for Raw. I don't get it. Just drop it to 2. Everyone's screaming. Even Triple H has said, I'd rather have it at 2. And it just...
I think it's out of their hands. I think this is more of a network thing.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then I'd wait for the contract to be up and switch networks.
Yeah, I agree. So, it's one of them where, even though I was okay with the limit, the running time of the pay-per-view, there was a small part of me thinking, I could have done with one more match on the card. Because 4 matches was a little bit weird.
Yeah, because I was quite surprised of how short it was, because obviously you and me and all the lads in that play Warzone from time to time, and I've said to you, like, it's not happening tonight, lads, I've got to watch Elimination Chamber, so that's me out of action for at least 3.5 hours. Yeah. And then realised it was 2.5, I was like, I might squeeze a game in.
Yeah, when you get to SummerSlam and stuff, I know we've got used to it now, but I've got 5 hours here, So even with the shorter pay-per-views, I'm expecting 3 hours.
Yeah.
3.5 tops. So it was a little bit like, okay, this is a bit weird. Not exactly a complaint, but I had enough wrestling, but maybe I could have done with a little bit, just a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
But that's not a complaint. That's just
nitpicking it, I suppose.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yes, Elimination Chamber 2021, all done and dusted. The next one is Payback, which is in about 3-4 weeks. Fastlane. I keep getting them mixed up every time. Like, I even saw the advert for Fastlane today, and I'm still saying...
The thing, Road to WrestleMania is in
the Fastlane. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Fastlane is pretty much exactly 1 month away.
Yeah, it's not a pay-per-view that I've ever been really that interested in. It's very rare that it interests me, but when you have been surprised in the past, so we'll see what happens.
Like, say with the current climate of what's going on, it's like, okay, this pay-per-view could really change the face of how WrestleMania will go.
Yes.
So another smart play.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it till my face turns blue. It was a very smart pay-per-view.
Yes, it was.
WWE should be proud of that.
Yes, because every now and then they do make a smart play.
Yeah, and they made a number of smart plays during the whole show. So very good.
Yes.
I applaud you.
So yes, we'll see you in about 3 to 4 weeks. Like, subscribe, share, find us on all the social media and podcast platforms, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.